Sorry, an alarm went off, which is more than likely probably what happened. He probably noticed the pattern of alcoholism and becoming angry and aggressive, but was already becoming an alcoholic, then became a functioning alcoholic, but already had the aggression attached to it, and probably felt like a piece of shit, but couldn't really do much about it because we're in Section 8, so it's not like he can pay for, what's it called? Rehab or anything like that. So the general vibe people got off of him was he's just a foam at the mouth, abusive, sociopathic type of piece of shit that is superficially charming, magnetic, all this stuff. Like any ASPD person, like, has full power and control over the people that is in their lives, and the people don't know how to break away from them until they figure out how to do it. Like, that's just the way ASPD people work. Like, it's a really weird thing to watch happen because, like, it's an abusive cycle dynamic, but with psychopaths and sociopaths, it's way more damaging because they're way more controlling. Like, they really have people like puppets. Like, it's crazy to see actually happen because they're so good at what they do. You're not even sure you're being abused, like, until years later, and then it all comes crashing down at the same time, and you're like, holy shit, like, this dude is a master manipulator and I had no idea. Like, that's the way they operate. So that's what happened with me and Chad, and it took a long time before I realized, like, I was under his thumb. So that was part of it. Another part of it, with me being as smart as I was and being able to see things for what it was looking at the underside layers of it, or the flip version of it, where it was like, if he's not that and he really is just a normal guy who is Irish and dealing with alcoholism, then it took on another aspect. And since I'm not a doctor, I couldn't necessarily say he has ASPD for a fact. I was like, you got to look at both versions of it. And with him being interested in me, it was kind of like I was definitely in love with him, so I was interested back in him. So after a while, after my husband died and everything, I reached out to him and kind of told him everything that I had been feeling about him at the time, and I pretty much broke down the scenario of everything that had happened at the time and everything that I thought about him and the situation that he was in. I mean, I mentioned everything. It was like, I don't know if you have ASPD, like, and I explained, like, what my viewpoint was of everything. And, it became one of those type of situations where, like, he had complimented me on being very intelligent, and someone else had complimented him on being very, very intelligent. And it was like the distinguishing factor about Chad was how intelligent he was. Like, everybody knew that, and you knew that within seconds of meeting him. Like, it was just him. And it was like a point of severe agony to him, how it's the same way it is for me, and I've said this in videos even on this channel, of average intelligence acting like below average intelligence with some of the things people do. And it was like a very sharp point of discomfort for him, how the average person that was in his life at that point had none. Like, just the things they did, the way they acted. His girlfriend, he felt, was borderline stupid, and like she didn't know how to take care of their daughter, and like she would start fights, and like she didn't know how to use Google. So like he was like, it was just little things about her that was making him discontent in the relationship and made him worried about like the future of his daughter. And he was like, I don't know how she's supposed to raise my daughter, like conversations we had with each other. And so, I just told him all of this in a letter that I wrote to him on Facebook. And basically the outcome of everything was him expressing interest in me again. So we went through this basically 3-year period of me. Basically, it kind of turned out where I think both of us kind of knew and understood from the tone of the letter that I wrote to him that I was not seeking a relationship with him at this time. And this was 3 years ago. I was not seeking a relationship with him. I just wanted to confess my true feelings to him and my true thoughts on him, and like how I felt like his mind worked, how I felt like he presented to the world, like things I felt like nobody would ever have the courage to tell him to his face, considering the way his behavior was and the way he talked to people and the way he was acting at the time. And I just wanted to clarify a few things and get a few things off my chest. And it was some curiosities and some things I just wanted to say. And he took it well and expressed interest back. And so for 3 years, I basically was just talking to this dude. And it became one of those type of situations where it was like a romantic type of thing where we were both kind of just spending time with each other, where it's like we're not pursuing a relationship, but the door for conversation is open just to spend time with each other for what it's worth, even though it's a desperate type of ending to something that we want a start of. So it's kind of like, I don't know, closure on something that you kind of wish wouldn't end is what the last 3 years has been like. So I don't really regret anything that I've done or spending my time talking to him, even though he didn't really talk back, because it was like, that was kind of like what we got into. That's kind of like what we agreed to do, what we knew was going to happen. And even though it seemed like on the old channel that I was pining over a guy that wasn't interested in me, that's not exactly the full story. So I guess I just wanted to share the flip side of the story, try to get a better picture of just Chad and in general what happened with that. He's always been interested in me. I've always been interested in him. It's just a mutual understanding that as long as he is the way that he is, I would never date him. And considering I broke his trust in one example one time due to my schizoaffective, he doesn't know if I would be safe to be around either. So he's kind of like, while I would, I'm not sure if I should. So we both have our reservations about each other, and while we would like to go forward, it's just not a reasonable thing to do on either end for either of us. So it was more like just seeking closure over a situation and spending as much time with each other as we reasonably could until we couldn't anymore. So he got another girlfriend about 1.5 years ago, and I started dating about 1.5 years ago as well. So that was pretty much the end of everything for us, and we haven't talked since. And that's basically how that, we've talked since, but like that is basically how that has ended. Like I said the last few things that I had to say, and we're done now. So that's that. And I don't feel any regret or any sadness or any sorrow. Like I fully moved on at this point. But I was glad that I was able to say what I wanted to say. I guess it's one of those things that when you think deeply a lot the way I do, I don't look at things on the surface level. I question everything, and I look at the full set of circumstances. So while I don't know if he was ASPD, hi baby. While I don't know if he was ASPD, and I don't know if it was just Irishmen being drunk and having a bad reaction to alcohol, I look at both sets of circumstances because I have ASPD myself. And so it's kind of like, if he is ASPD, I'm not going to write him off as unworthy of being loved or unworthy of being talked to, because I don't agree with that, and I don't view anybody in life that way. Whatever you're dealing with, everyone is flawed and everyone has something that they have to work through. I may not get super close to you depending on what issues you have, but I'm not going to deem you as unworthy of love or unworthy of respect. So I still view him respectfully, whether he has ASPD or whether he's just an alcoholic with an Irish problem. But, you know, I really loved and adored him, and at this point, I still love him, but, like, I'm viewing things a little bit more objectively and in such a light that it just turned out the way it turned out. You know, I think it's a better ending than feeling like I was used or feeling like I was manipulated or feeling like he's an asshole or feeling any other type of way. I feel like he's a good man. He just has his troubles. And that's the way I've always viewed him. And I think that's more closer to the truth than any other viewpoint. So that is my history with Chad. He's just slightly troubled and in need of a lot of support and love. And I really hope that things work out with him and his girlie. I did congratulate him when him and his girl got together. I was a little hurt because some part of me was still hopeful that we could work out, but the larger part of me knew it wouldn't work out, even though it could work out. You know, it's just, it would take a tremendous amount of work on both of our parts, and I don't know if he would be up to it. It didn't seem like he was up to it, but that's neither here nor there. We have a history together that makes that kind of difficult to do, so there's that. But just wanted to share for anyone new to the channel who didn't know anything about Chad. That's barely the full story, but that's part of the story, and I'm not going to keep harping on it because, like I said, that's old news. But I was just thinking, because of the affirmations that I put up on the mirror, it made me think about them, and I figured I would just share the story for the new people on the channel, part of the story anyway. But that is Chad Neal, and that is part of my history with him. Someone I love deeply, still love deeply, admire tremendously. Most intelligent man I've ever met in my life, and I have a strong attraction to intelligent men. And he was my second love. My first was my husband, second was him, and so he has a huge presence in my life and in my mind. He's just not in my life anymore. So that would be Chad. So, love you guys. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.